right, get Brenton off here. Great. So we're going to bring Sarah on. And again, this is Sarah Aubrey. She is the brand manager of Net Your Problem. They collect fishing nets, used fishing nets from fisheries. Hey, Sarah, how are
Hi.
you?
How's it going?
Oh gosh, it's already nighttime here. That looks glorious out there.
Yeah, we got a pretty Southern California day over here.
Fabulous. That's awesome. Were you able to surf today? What'd you do today?
Today I taught a bunch of swim lessons, actually. I teach kids swim lessons over the summer, so I was in the
Very
pool
cool.
all day.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome. And how's it
Super
been
fun.
with the whole coronavirus situation as things are opening up? Is it still weird on the beach or is it getting a bit better?
It's kind of, people are kind of over all the quarantining right now. They're kind of going nuts a little bit, but it's fun. I mean, I don't know. Everyone's just staying like there's like this invisible barrier around them, right? And so
Yeah. Like
most
from
people are
afar,
behaving.
when you see someone, you don't want to hug them. You're like, hey, how you
I
doing?
know. I want to hug them all, but I
Yeah. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm so happy you reached out, last month or so about your webinar, which we will talk about. And I think that it's awesome what you're doing. And I loved our conversation the other day. So I kind of want to get into it. You know, again, I introduced you, Sarah Aubrey, as brand manager of Net Your Problem. But if you'd like, could you explain to us about your introduction to the company and the company itself?
Yeah, sure. So, Net Your Problem started in 2017. The founder, she was a fisheries observer in Alaska. So she was going out on all the fishing boats and collecting data on the fish they took. And she noticed a bunch of gear just kind of lying around. And when she asked people about what to do with it, they were kind of like, just put it in the storage yard. You know, a lot of those islands in Alaska are super remote. So it's hard to get them logistically to do anything. So they're just usually mostly lined up in the storage yard or taken to the landfill. And once our founder heard about what Parlay for the Oceans was doing with Adidas and making shoes out of fishing gear, she realized it could be recycled. So she wanted to do the same thing there in Alaska for the communities that she was working with and serving up there. So that's kind of how it started. And her and I met in grad school in Puerto Rico and kind of kept in touch. And when I came back in California, there was a need for a rep in California. So that was the beginning
Yeah,
of my NYP adventure.
it is so cool how quickly, looking into both of you being marine scientists, obviously the ocean is going to be a part of whatever you're going to undertake as far as your career wise. And it's interesting that it became her focal point, not to join up with something else, but really create something innovative. And I know we spoke about how difficult it is to create, a supply chain to close that loop. You would think it's easy, like, hey, you don't have to trash this, like you can recycle it. But there's so many other obstacles that come up for people because it's just an extra step. And it's really it shows a lot that she went out of her way to create this, because we were talking about how difficult it is to connect all those pieces, and you guys really have created a network. Can you kind of explain where in the process Net Your Problem falls and kind of what you guys do in the supply chain?
Yeah, well, like you said, there's a lot of challenges, especially when you're starting something new or not common and something is unusual. And we really keep a solution mindset, right? Like the obstacles are just kind of an exciting challenge of like, okay, well, if that doesn't work, then we'll figure it out. And what Net Your Problem really focuses on is relationships with fishing communities, because they're the ones that have this material. They're the ones who have this need of a good, responsible disposal option. So we spent a lot of time supporting them and designing programs in each of the different locations for what works for them. And once we figured it out, we collect the gear and send it to recycling partners, which are mostly international. Depending on the location we collect it, we try to keep shipping minimal,
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And what exactly is the gear that you guys are focused on? Obviously fishing nets, but can you explain a little bit about what gear that you're collecting and focused on?
Yeah, so fishing gear, a lot of it is made out of polypropylene and polyethylene. Those are like all the ropes and stuff that carries traps and some of the ropes that you'll find attached to some of the netting. And then the nets can be made of nylon. Those are like gill nets. There's also trawl and seine nets, but they're all different types of plastic.
And I know that you joined up because of Gill Nets and the ban that was coming up in California in January. And so obviously I did a little bit of research, and my background's in actually food importing and, you know, a little bit of fish. And so you wonder, so just to be clear, gill netting is when their head gets caught, but their head goes through, their body gets caught, but it was endangering so many other animals in the process. And so in '94, I believe they were able to push it out further, but now is a ban in totality, right? Or
Yeah. So what happened with gill nets is they were getting a lot of bycatch, and that means they were catching things that they didn't mean to catch, right? So they were
mm-hmm.
catching and killing things accidentally. So they've been working on phasing that type of gear out, and so it's illegal. But a lot of fishermen, that's how they made their livelihood, right? So the Department of Fish and Wildlife in California had developed this program where there was financial incentives for getting rid of this destructive gear early, and in
And
order
that's where
for
you come
them,
in.
so in order for them to receive that incentive, then they had to show that the net was being destroyed, and
That's
so instead of throwing it away, we're gonna recycle it.
That's awesome. So you guys really become partners in the community with the governments, and that's kind of your step into success, I would say, because they see it as a way that it's not getting destroyed or lost in their landfill. They can incentivize people to get it out of their county or their state and recycle and upcycle it.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of fun with unlikely partners, you know? Like we have partners with universities, and for
Oh
example, my
wow.
friends own a brewery, a local brewery here, and they offered to let us use their parking lot to process the nets. So once we collect them, and it's really fun, you know, someone that you wouldn't think of uh, has a lot of value to offer, and work together to take care of the ocean, which we all have in common.
I know. I think it's something really cool. In our first interview, we spoke to Clean Ocean, which is a nonprofit in New Jersey, and they do beach sweeps, and they fight a lot at the legislative level for clean oceans. And she said something like, you know, it's the one common denominator for through all of humanity, because the second you step into the ocean, it can lead you to anybody else's shore. And I think it's really cool because it's true. You know, it's the one thing we should all be concerned about it, because we're all interconnected through these bodies of water. So it's pretty
Yeah.
neat. Yeah. So I wanted to get into a little bit about the injection molding. I know we've tried to educate the Low Tides family about how plastic becomes a beach chair, but if you kind of want to explain the nets itself, then I think it'd be a good refresher course for them.
Yeah, so for example, when we collect a net, there's some metal pieces on it, and there's some kind of ropes on it that are infused with heavy things to make them sink. And we take those pieces out as they're not the same chemical composition of the rest of the net. And then it gets washed and clean and taken through a shredder to put it into little pieces. And then those get melted and turned into pellets. And those pellets can get spun into yarn, and then that yarn then becomes the fabric that probably makes up your beach chairs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the pellets, the resin becomes the pellets, which is the injection molding. That's exactly right. And where are your current projects at? I know we talked a little bit about it. It's pretty interesting. Where are you at now?
Yeah, we've got a few different locations in Alaska, in the Aleutian Islands, and then we've got stuff developed. We're just getting all the logistics and details worked out for Florida, Maine, California, and Indonesia.
It's amazing. And how much have you been able to collect over the past couple of years that you guys have been doing this?
Well, right now is our collection season, so we haven't tallied up any of that yet, but in the past 3 summers, we collected 881,000 pounds.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
881,000. I mean, each of our beach chairs is 3 pounds. Imagine how many beach chairs we could be doing with nets there. So
Right?
there's definitely some synergy. We got to get everybody into this. It makes no sense to buy products with virgin plastic, right? You know, it's out there. We can successfully create these pellets into a new product. So there's no excuse, I guess I would say. That's an amazing feat. Congratulations. That really is fabulous.
Thanks. Yeah, we're pretty excited about it too. Yeah,
And
we got a goal. We got a goal of 1 million pounds this collection season. So
oh wow. And
let's see how we can do.
right. So I'm interested to know, do you think that the coronavirus will affect the collection season at all? Do you think it will, like, boats have been out for a couple months, so do you think that's going to be a problem? Or
That's just another kind of way that we had to pivot a little bit. We're just doing a lot less traveling and engaging a lot more local people to help do some of the sorting and collecting that we would usually do ourselves. But yeah,
so not
still
too
pretty
much
much on
then.
track.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And I know you were saying that it can get woven into yarn and obviously beach chairs, but do you have any examples of some brands that have been toting, like, hey, we make this out of recycled nets or anything like that you're like, hey, that's probably our product?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty exciting, right? You're like, wow,
It
this
is.
cell phone case is, LifeProof just came out with a cell phone case out of nets, which is pretty cool. There's a bunch of bikini companies, swimsuit companies that make, I know Vissla just started a new line, and Body Glove has one, and Rip Curl has one.
That's
and
great.
Yeah,
And they
Sorry, go
promote it as the nets, right? That's
Yeah,
great. That's
yeah.
awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
What is the reason that we got introduced was obviously Responsible Swag seminar, and if you could kind of get into that and what you're trying to do as far as the education circuit, like, because I think at first when we were talking, I was like, wow, she really goes out of her way to touch all aspects of the supply chain. Like, you don't necessarily have to engage at this level of a webinar. Before I jump ahead, why don't you explain the webinar and then we can kind of get
Cool. Yeah. So we created a webinar. It's called How to Save the Earth Like a Boss. And it's for companies of how to incorporate recycled materials into their company swag, right? So a way that they can take an action and support the circular economy. So we are collecting the gear, right? That then goes to a recycler and then gets made into a product. But then people have to buy those products in order for that circle to keep working. So we really try to support businesses and groups that are, on the other end of that circle to keep everything flowing. And it's going to be on July 8th. You can go to our website, notyourproblem.com, to register. But it's pretty exciting. We found all kinds of different products, from packaging to stickers to t-shirts to water bottles, all kinds of stuff. And the companies have been really excited about it too, and gave us a bunch of discount codes to give out at the end. And it's going to be fun. I think if people knew how easy it was and how much that they're able to make an impact, then it's good to empower people with information.
I know, and I think that's the coolest thing, is the education point. And we talked about this briefly, but you're connecting the dots for someone that would normally buy 200 water bottles with their company's logo on it and hand it out at the holiday party, and you're saying, hey, instead of doing that, just type the word made with recycled plastic after water bottles made with recycled plastic, and you'll get so many different varieties and options of these made out of upcycled plastic. And I think that's what we always try to tell people, is that you don't have to go out of your way, other than an extra 2 seconds of typing, to find these awesome high quality products that are made with upcycled plastic. And I always use the phrase live sustainably, fashionably, because it's true. Like, people want good quality products, but they're out there and they're not made with virgin plastic. So you're helping the earth every time you're buying it. And
Right.
we are a materialistic society. You can't negate that and you can't avoid that. So if you're going to embrace it in the circular economy like you're doing. And I think that's really smart.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's amazing if you think about the diversity of what plastic can be. You know, there's so many different things all made out of plastic. You could pretty much make anything you can imagine out of recycled plastic too. And it just makes more sense. Like, why would you go and collect it and extract it from the ground as oil and go through the whole process of turning it into something when you already have it right there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. And I think that, you know, the more that you do reach outs, that we do reach outs, the more the demand increases, which is better for you guys because your demand for your stuff will increase, which is great for us because the supply chain will be there. And I think that's the hardest thing when, you know, Brenton was creating this, it's something that didn't exist. And he had to source every little aspect and connect the dots. And then people feel very proprietary almost about all their networks because this is still so new. And I shouldn't say new because I know people have been doing this for decades, but it really is still on the edge of creating a brand new supply chain of upcycled plastics. And so it's great to bring you on here and to, you know, say it's happening, it's working, and, you know, 20 or 30 years, everyone's going to be like, wait, so what was virgin plastic and why were you using it? I'll be like, exactly.
It'll be a great day. I can't wait for that day.
I know. It's amazing how much you learn. You know, I'm not a marine scientist as you are. And so in the past couple of years, just learning the onslaught of information of what gets dumped into our oceans just from lack of education. You know, I can say I was probably guilty of leaving wrappers on the beach and you just don't even think about it. And I know that New Jersey just passed a law or trying to pass a law today of banning balloon releases and things like that. And you just don't even think about balloon releases as
disappears.
Complicit. Yeah. It's like an Instagram, you know, favorite, balloon releases. The grammars are going to be mad or something. No, but I think that the, you know, the more that you guys are doing and fishing nets, you know, I asked you, where do they go? And you just said in the yard. You know, if a net is no longer usable, they just discard it. And so you're creating an option for them to say, like, instead of just discarding it, you can save space. You can save space in your warehouse, your junkyard, wherever you're putting stuff on your boats, and you can recycle it and be a part of that chain. And I bet you've gotten such a strong response, especially in Alaska, where you're on like 3 or 4 years, right?
Yep. This is our 4th collection year. Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let us make it easy for you. This stuff is valuable. Let's give it a new life.
And you know what? Fishermen are the #1 people that care about the ocean. No, you're right. No, I was just saying fishermen are the #1 people that care about clean oceans.
Exactly.
Because their livelihood or their craft is all revolving around, you know, a clean and healthy ocean. So I'm sure they're definitely on board.
Oh yeah, the fishermen have been amazing. They're our favorite.
Well, listen, July 8th is the webinar. It's a response. Sorry about that. And
okay.
If you want to say anything else, do you have anything else to add or?
Yeah. If you guys want to know more about what we're doing, we have a newsletter. If you head to our website, you can sign up on there. We just ordered some of our own swag, actually, some really cool hats all made out of recycled materials. So those will be coming up in a few weeks. If you guys want to check those out, buy stuff made out of recycled material. You guys really have a lot of power, and you know, vote with your dollar. Be sustainability champions.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I hope to see you at the webinar on July 8th.
Of course. And like Sarah said, we do have some discount codes that we're hooking everybody up with. That's a part of the webinar. So head to the webinar. She has a lot of other products on there that are supporting it. And anybody in hospitality, marketing, anybody that does, you know, corporate gifts should definitely check it out. You're going to be doing this stuff anyway. And again, the important thing is to remember to purchase sustainable products, purchase products made out of upcycled plastic, and help the economy, and of course help Mother Ocean.
Yeah, nice. Lots of solutions out there, Elizabeth. Lots of solutions. A good time.
I know. All right. Well, thank you so much again, Sarah. I really appreciate you coming on. And listen, we'll hook up soon, and I look forward to the webinar.
Perfect. Yeah, we appreciate your guys' support. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And again, that was Sarah Aubrey from Net Your Problem. She's the brand manager. They collect fishing nets from the ports in Alaska, Maine, Florida, California, and they have projects going on also in Indonesia. And what they do is they are the link in the supply chain to get those nets to recycling centers where it gets broken down into pellets and HDPE pellets, just like our beach chairs that created through injection molding. So again, use your dollars for good, purchase products made out of upcycled plastic, and have a great night and a great weekend. And the chairs are coming, so get excited. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll come at you next week with what the tides brought in.